Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking all about breastfeeding my toddler. If you are new around here, my name is Destiny and I have a now 21-month-old named Stella, which is so insane that she's going to be 2 in just 3 months. But I get tons and coffee break, hold on. But I get tons of messages and DMs regarding breastfeeding, how I've managed to breastfeed this long, why I've breastfed this long. So I figured I would do a sit-down dedicated video regarding how I've managed to keep my supply up, why I choose to still breastfeed, and basically some of my tips and tricks on breastfeeding a toddler. So if this is something you guys are interested in, which if you're watching, I'm sure it is. So if you guys are interested in learning how I've managed to breastfeed for 21 months plus, then please keep watching. All right, you guys, so before I get right into the tips and everything like that, I do want to make a disclaimer that this is in no way, shape, or form bashing anybody who can't breastfeed, who quit breastfeeding, or just hasn't breastfed this long. This is just something that I wanted to do and that I am personally still enjoying. So honestly, fed is best. Every baby, every mother, they have their own journey. So I don't want you to feel like you have to compare yourself to, you know, me breastfeeding this long or to anybody else breastfeeding for a certain amount of time. You have to do as a mother what's best for you. And again, fed is best. But these are just things that have worked for me to keep my supply up. So I wanted to make that huge disclaimer. And however you choose to feed your baby is amazing. Whatever works for you and your baby is amazing. And that's your journey, your baby's journey. So let's get right into today's video. All right, you guys, so I'm gonna give a little bit of a backstory on my breastfeeding journey. So from the beginning, Stella has always been an amazing eater. Like from the moment she came out, like she latched instantly. And I remember the lactation consultant saying, oh my God, like she just knew exactly what to do. So from the moment she was born, Stella was an immediate boo monster. And to this day, she's still the biggest boo monster, but we'll get into that. Stella did favor the right boob over the left boob for a little while. So I did have to feed her more on the left boob to kind of regulate it, because at the end of the day, breastfeeding is supply and demand. So your body will produce the amount of milk that your baby needs. Also, I had an oversupply of milk, and my milk actually came in 2 days after Stella was born. And when my milk came in, it came in. I actually had a huge oversupply, which was amazing, but also painful. But if you're a breastfeeding mama, you know how painful being engorged is. So it took about a few weeks for my body to regulate. I would still get engorged, but luckily I never was so engorged that I was like leaking everywhere, like spraying, which I know a lot of people experience. My body regulated to the amount of milk Stella needed perfectly, honestly. I didn't have to wear any of those pads, like those leaking pads in my bras that a lot of people have to wear. I know that's really common, but this is just something that I didn't have to use, which was super nice. So the few things that I think that actually have kept my milk supply up in the beginning and now is calories, water, and frequent feeding. So water, you are not going to be producing enough milk if you're dehydrated. So other than iced coffee or a hot cup of coffee in the morning, I've always just drank water. I don't drink sodas, I don't drink juices. So staying hydrated was something that came easy to me. Calories, that is something that I struggled with and still kind of struggle with. When you're breastfeeding, I was told you're going to be hungry constantly, you're going to want to eat everything, and I actually have and had the opposite effect. Like, I have to remind myself to eat, because I could personally go not all day without eating, but I could go quite a while without eating. And as a breastfeeding mom, you have to get those calories in order to produce milk. So don't be afraid to eat carbs and get those calories in. Your body needs it to produce the milk. So if you're not eating enough and you notice that your supply is dropping, it's most likely because you're not getting enough calories in or you're dehydrated. So make sure you're sticking to enough water throughout the day and you're getting enough calories in. So don't skip any meals. I remember my husband would have to tell me, like, Destiny, you have to eat And I'm like, I know. So even if it's just like an apple, a banana, a smoothie, definitely get those calories in, because that's gonna be a huge factor in producing milk. Also, oats. Oatmeal, for some reason, would always make me super engorged. And even to this day, if I have like a bowl of oat milk, I notice later on in the day, my boobs are pretty full. So if you're having problems with keeping your supply up, especially if you're a breastfeeding toddler mom like I am, make sure you're drinking your water, make sure you're eating your oats and getting those calories in. I honestly believe me getting my calories in and staying hydrated is what has kept my body producing milk. Also, frequent feeding. So Stella, now that she is almost 2, if it was up to her, she would be eating all day. The second I sit down, she wants to have some milk. So I've kind of trained her to not want to drink milk all day. I personally plan on weaning her when she's 2, so we're actually down to just a few feedings a day. On some occasions, if I'm sitting on the couch with her watching a movie, she just wants to be attached to my boob, and honestly, I just let her. Maybe that's really bad of me, but it's a comfort thing for her. And not only that, breastfeeding has so much nutrients for her. So, and I personally don't mind, well, that's a lie. Most days I don't mind when she's on the boob, because I know she's getting tons of nutrients from me. But I'm not gonna lie, the older Stella's getting, it's getting exhausting breastfeeding a toddler, especially since she's like half my size now. If you know me in real life, I weigh about 100 pounds and I'm exactly 5 foot, so I'm very petite and very small, and my daughter's very long. So she just climbs all over me to eat, which can be very, I'm not going to use the word annoying because it's not annoying, but very frustrating, especially when you just want to sit down and relax. Next, I also get tons of questions asking, does Stella still breastfeed in public? What do I do when she breastfeeds in public? So luckily for me, she doesn't ask for milk any longer in public, which is nice. So I don't have to deal with that. She mostly just breastfeeds at home, but on the rare occasion, if she does ask for milk out in public, you know, I just give it to her. I do it discreetly, but I mean, I personally have no shame in my game. If my baby wants to be breastfed and she's like half my size, I'm gonna breastfeed her. So don't let anyone shame you for breastfeeding your toddler still. It is no one's business. It is your journey and your baby's journey, and it is up to you and your baby when your journey is going to end. So never feel like you have to explain yourself to people on why you're still breastfeeding, because I do get those questions like, oh, when do you plan on stopping? Or like, you know, do you think she's getting a little too big? And yeah, she's getting big, I'm not gonna lie, but my daughter and I will stop breastfeeding when I feel like the time is ready. So I did plan on having her weaned by the time she is 2, but at the rate things are going, we're still gonna be feeding at least a few times a day when that time comes. But I kind of plan on just allowing my daughter to wean herself. There is no shame, and don't allow anyone to shame you on breastfeeding your toddler. It's such a beautiful journey, a beautiful thing. Another question I get asked often is positioning my toddler while breastfeeding. So honestly, nothing really has changed. I try to only breastfeed her now at nap time and bedtime. So for that, we do the obvious laying down. So she just lays down next to me, and that's how we breastfeed. During the day, it sounds funny, but she'll run up to me, pull my shirt down, and breastfeed. I mean, it's so right now during the day, her favorite position is just standing up breastfeeding, or sitting next to me breastfeeding. But honestly, as crazy as it sounds, it's a lot easier to breastfeed a toddler than it is a baby, because with your baby, you have to position them and hold them different ways, support their neck. With a toddler, you don't really have to handle them as much. They kind of know what to do already. So as far as positioning your toddler while breastfeeding, they'll know, or they'll do what's comfortable for them. And it kind of just comes naturally. So breastfeeding Stella is not harder. If anything, it's a lot easier from when she was an infant. The next question I get often is, do I still get engorged? I still do get engorged, not as much as it was when my milk came in, but there has been times where Stella, someone's walking by. There has been times where Stella hasn't had milk in like 5 hours or so, let's just say. My boobs do get really full. It looks like I had a boob job, so my boobs do still get engorged, but it's not painful. And then the last question that I'm probably gonna answer for today's video is a question I get often, and it's how and why I think my supply has lasted this long. So I know a lot of women, after a year or even less or sometimes more, their supply kind of just slowly goes away on their own. And luckily for me, I haven't had any dips in my supply. So I firmly believe that the more often Stella was breastfeeding, my body just regulated and produced the amount of milk that she needed. So I honestly believe I produce enough milk for the amount of feedings that she does. My body knows kind of when she's gonna feed next. So that's when I get full, and that's when I get semi-engorged, but not fully engorged, if that makes sense. So I honestly believe that just our frequent feedings is what has kept my milk supply up. There has never been a day or a moment where she stopped breastfeeding. And luckily for me, and I know everyone's supply is different, I've never experienced a drop in my supply. Even when I got back down to my pre-baby weight, I'm actually smaller now than I was before I had Stella. But if you guys are interested in like how I got my body back but better postpartum, I guess, fitness story on how I got my body back after baby, I can make a totally separate video for that, because that's gonna be a video all in its own. But even losing the baby weight, eating constantly, staying hydrated, and frequent feedings, I never experienced a drop in my supply, which is amazing. So honestly, these are just things that I did and worked for me and that have kept my supply up. It's not magic. I'm not doing anything special. It's just what is working for me and Stella. And I'm not gonna lie, it has and is a lot of work to breastfeed, but I'm so proud of myself for breastfeeding this long. And honestly, it's like a bond I can never explain. And I'm so grateful that my body is still producing milk for Stella, because I feel like when our breastfeeding journey ends, that's gonna be a very sad day for me. I'm not gonna lie. And I feel like the older she's getting, the more that she's realizing that this is something special she gets. And I'm just so grateful to be breastfeeding for this long. So if you guys like these kind of videos, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Let me know what you guys wanna see next. And I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.